So now that we've talked about how to get people on your list, we need to talk about what should be firing immediately when they sign up. And what is that? Well, that is our welcome automation. Also could be called a nurture automation or welcome series, right? This is one of the most powerful automations that you will have in your suite of automations in a really robust built out program, right? It is likely to be one of your top revenue and conversion as well as engagement generating email series. It really aims to not only welcome the new subscribers, right, and establish that strong branding, but it's striking while the iron is hot, right? It's engaging during that high interest period. Somebody raised their hand and they said, I want to hear from you. This is your opportunity, right? This is your first impression a lot of the time with this subscriber to get them to know your brand, get them to know what you offer, and actually nurture them and encourage them towards that first purchase or conversion. So why is it important? Well, welcome emails have 86% higher open rates than other marketing emails. So really, really powerful. And that just shows you, right, that is such a high interest period. So we've got to make sure that we're taking advantage of that and putting valuable content that actually prompts people to make that conversion in this series. 75% of new subscribers actually expect to receive a welcome email now, and especially I would probably beg to say that that's a little bit higher for those who are signing up on a pop-up, right, with an incentive. You expect to see your incentive come through your email immediately, and actually, you know, when you don't get it, maybe you get a little anxiety, like, oh, I need that to make my purchase. So it's definitely a consumer expectation nowadays to have that trigger immediately. And those who receive welcome emails have actually shown a 33% higher engagement long term than those who don't receive any sort of welcome emails when they sign up. So it can benefit you in the long term as well as right away nurturing to that conversion. Welcome emails also have about a 10% higher read rate than other marketing emails, so people will actually make it farther down the email than they do with, let's say, a promotional send or an abandoned cart or anything like that. So again, valuable real estate to pack in what you need to pack in to get them to nurture to that first conversion. It really is your best opportunity to engage your leads and nurture down the funnel while they're most engaged with your brand.
A quick hack for you. One of the ways we've been able to grow our YouTube so much is our welcome email asks you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So you can get somebody to subscribe to two things through this type of process. So just a really powerful little hack for all of our listeners today.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point too, and we'll talk about how to include social content and calls to action actually on the next slide. But if you can get, there's a lot of data actually behind, if you can get new leads to engage cross-channel, you'll see longer retention rates and lifetime value actually overall. So definitely a good point there. Great, so jumping into some best practices. So first, I'm going to talk through B2C best practices because they will slightly differ from what a B2B brand might put out there. So Lauren's going to go over that in a minute, but first I'll jump through what we recommend for B2C welcome automations. And keep in mind that all of this is best practice, and it is something that after working with a multitude of brands across different industries in the B2C space, this is what we found works best. But I will caveat that with, this is a jumping point. Your audience and your brand may be different, right? So you want to make sure that while you use this as a default, you always want to be testing. So if you ask any email marketer, they're always just going to recommend you test, but that is 100% accurate, right? So you can start off with these kind of best practices here, but test it for your audience to make sure you know what converts best. So the first thing I'll touch on here is the number of emails, right? So we typically recommend the sweet spot is usually between 3 and 5 emails within that welcome automation. Really, we say, let's go live with, between 3 and 5, monitor that engagement once it's live for about, 1 to 2 months, and then determine if additional emails or resends to non-openers may be helpful, right? Are we seeing low engagement rates on certain emails? Are we seeing, low conversion rates? Do we need a resend? That's a great time once things have gone live to then adjust your cadence and number of touches. We do recommend triggering the first email immediately upon sign up. Again, like we talked about, that is consumer expectations, so we want to make sure we're meeting that. Spanning the following emails over the next 1 to 2 weeks post sign up. So here, what's really important is that you assess your sales cycle for your brand. And what I'll say in the B2C space, Typically, those brands that have higher price point items, they typically have a little bit longer of a sales cycle, right? People are doing more research, more comparison before they actually make a purchase. So you're going to want to span your welcome series over a longer period. Now, if you have a consumable product that's a fairly lower price point, right? Something someone wouldn't really be doing a ton of research before converting and making that, purchase. It's low barrier to entry. You might want to start that welcome automation and put it over the first week after sign up. So a little bit shorter cadence there. So what you also want to make sure you're doing is that if you are including an incentive on your sign up, wherever they came in from, right, whatever sign up source, whether a pop-up, welcome mat, landing page, if you had an incentive there, that incentive should absolutely be in that first touch of your email. And it should be the primary focus, right? Because what does it do? It, number one, meets their expectation, but number two, it creates relevance and trust right away. You did what you said you were going to do. So that's really, really important. And also immediately creates recognition for them to say, oh yeah, I signed up for this. I know why I'm receiving this email. Can also help with opt-out rates, right? You'll also want to, if you have an incentive that you have included, include a reminder or a reminder banner within the next 1 to 3 emails in that series. And then in your final email, you'll want to include some urgency or last chance language for them to take advantage of that, really just helping push that conversion rate up there as well. And then the last call out here, just for best practices, is make sure that every touch of your welcome series has a clear call to action. Now, one thing and mistake that I see a lot of brands make is packing their welcome automations with content and information about their brand, but there's no clear call to action. What do you want the user to do from that welcome email? Yes, you want to welcome them and explain who you are and what your brand is about, but what action do you want them to take? If there's no specific or clear action that you want them to take there, they're not going to take any action. And you've missed an opportunity, right, to move them to the next step of the funnel. So just making sure that visually you have clear call to actions and that your content is focused on one call to action primarily for those settings.
I just find so many people set it up and never look at it again. We're talking about email automation conversion rate optimization here, everybody. What's the open rate? What's the click-through rate? What formats work the best? What calls to actions work the best? If you don't test that, you're leaving so much opportunity on the table.